Hey guys, I just wanted to share with you today Charlie's 17-page motion for pretrial release and request for Arthur hearing. And I'm just going to go over this 17-page document. I know that Judy has gone over it. I think that Mentor also wants to go over it as well. And I just wanted to note that I'm not in the legal profession. I was a media studies major in college. I took some journalism classes and wrote for my college newspaper and a few other published articles, but mostly I studied art, and I really enjoy putting these videos together for you guys. I actually love following cases and trials and doing research. So I hope that this might inspire some of you guys to do some more research on cases, and just like this case has inspired me to do some research and deep diving into true crime. So I hope you guys enjoy my analysis, and let's just look at it more like I'm just kind of an average lady looking over these docs. So let's just jump right into it. Okay, so Charlie's lawyer filed this motion for pretrial release, and we assumed he would probably do that, although they denied Charlie bail like a few days after he was arrested. So let's look at what this article said. I'm going to kind of skim read it, and of course you can pause it if you want to look at it in greater detail. So basically they're talking about Charlie's arrest on April 20th. They returned the indictment against Mr. Adelson, charging him with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and solicitation of murder with the death of his brother-in-law, Dan Markel. So they said that Charlie was cooperative in his arrest. I'm going to kind of cherry-pick the things in here where I believe that Charlie's lawyer is kind of building his case. You know, he's saying that Charlie was cooperative in the arrest. And in this arrest affidavit, and I believe like 6 years ago they drafted this arrest affidavit, which kind of pointed at Katherine, also Luis Rivera, and Sigfredo Garcia. Also, they talk about the bump and Donna in this 17-page document. So, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe he's going to kind of point the finger at his mother. No, just kidding. Okay, scratch that. All right, so another thing that Charlie talks about in this 17-page document asking for his pretrial release, he talks about Willie Meggs, and that Willie Meggs said it was quote-unquote speculation about Mr. Adelson's alleged role in the conspiracy. So as the Tallahassee Democrat reported, saying Willie Meggs' reasoning for not approving charges against Mr. Adelson or any of the Adelsons, you know, they point to that there was no probable cause, and what evidence do we have? And, you know, and we all know all the speculation about Willie Meggs and the ties to the Adelsons. So they're pointing to that Charlie was cooperative in his arrest and that Willie Meggs didn't go after him 6 years ago, but that was before the Dolce Vita wiretap. So they're pointing to old evidence or old reasoning that back in 2016. So then they say, so what changed? The state prosecuted and got several convictions with Garcia, Rivera, Magbanua, and none of them have implicated Charlie. So I guess they're capitalizing on that none of the conspirators have directly pointed the finger at Charlie, and also this newly enhanced Dolce Vita recording. And then, you know, Charlie's lawyer points to the fact, you know, just cherry picks certain phrases that Charlie has said about the Dolce Vita recording where, you know, Charlie says, if it's a cop who initiated the bump, I'm happy because I've got nothing to hide. And so he's cherry picking one of the phrases that Charlie said that makes him look so innocent, if you can sense my sarcasm. But they're saying that this is exclusively circumstantial evidence. That's why they're asking for Charlie's pretrial release. They're just saying that the Dolce Vita recording is emblematic of the state's inability to meet its burden here. And they're saying that Charlie had no knowledge of or connection to any involvement of the conspiracy to kill Professor Markel, thus maybe building the case that Sigfredo, Lewis, and Katherine just went and did this all by themselves, which will be kind of hard to prove in court, but looks like they're kind of building that case as their defense theory. Okay, so they are saying that, Charlie wants to participate in his own legal defense, especially given the enormous volume of discovery in this case. Mr. Adelson's inability to efficiently review the discovery materials at the Leon County Detention Facility and other logistical challenges that his detention would pose for preparation for this complex case. So they're asking basically that he be able to prepare for this case in his home. And I like Judy's idea when she said that this would give him more chances to kind of conspire outside of jail, more communication, not being recorded. So I like that, Judy. I like that idea. Anyway, so they say Mr. Adelson is not a flight risk. He's not a danger to the community. Okay, so they're saying that they should grant Charlie the bail because his family members live in South Florida and he has no criminal history. And then they say he has no legal issues. He has fully cooperated with authorities in his arrest in April. They're just saying he's not a flight risk. And then that actually reminds me of why they're going on and on talking about his traveling, because it seems like he would be a flight risk. And the funny thing is, after looking this over, and they're talking about all of the countries that Charlie traveled to: Croatia, Slovenia, Spain, the Philippines, and Philippines again, and Thailand, and South Korea, and Costa Rica, Mexico, St. Martin. And their defense is that the extradition treaty between the United States and almost every one of these abolitionist countries contains article providing that if the offense of extradition is death eligible in requesting state, the requested state has the authority to refuse extradition unless state gives specified assurances. Basically, what they're saying is that Charlie went to all these places and he had ample opportunities to flee to abolitionist countries that very well may have declined to extradite him to the United States. Yet, Mr. Adelson always returned to Florida, in part because of the very real possibility of having to face prosecution in this matter, a possibility that materialized as early as 2016. He had multiple chances to flee to these countries whose government norms and practices have precluded or significantly impeded extradition, and he coherently chose to return. Mr. Adelson is simply not a flight risk. I'm sure many of you disagree with that he looked pretty guilty for going to these countries. So it looks like they are kind of on their heels, already realizing that the state has all of these records of his travels in 2016, and it made him look kind of guilty, like he was trying to get away from being arrested. But they're just saying, no, but he always came back. So for whatever reason, I don't know if that makes him look more innocent, but they're trying to use that as his defense. Okay, so they're just basically saying it would be so much better if Charlie could be home to talk to his counsel in person, looking over the hundreds of hours of intercept phone calls, 70 deposition transcripts of the first trial, 3,428 pages, and Magbanua's retrial, which has a similar length of pages. And oh, poor Charlie having to look over all these witnesses and discovery. So I think they're going to have a hard time getting sympathy for Charlie. And then they're saying that he's having a hard time getting into the jail's legal portal for electronic delivery to the inmate. And I can tell you guys, it is kind of a slow process to get documents to and from the jail. I've been working on it, and it's not something you can just do overnight. So they're not lying about that. So their conclusion and request for this hearing, they were granted that, and I believe that the hearing is going to be on September 9th. I think that's a Friday at 9 a.m. in room 3G. And guys, thank you so much for watching and listening to my videos and following this case. We all want justice for Dan, and at the end of the day, I can definitely feel the emotions going through everybody. And, this is something good, looking for truth and more evidence. So I thank you guys so much for being on this journey. We're all in this together. So everyone, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching.